A long time ago on a campus far, far away. Actually, here at ASU. I never left. I was a young freshman, new to college and the financial freedom it provided. Lo, a table stood before me, piled with free swag. All I had to do, said Chad, the wise representative of Freedom Cards, was fill out a form, and not only a credit card would I get, but a free Frisbee too. Yes, Frisbee. I did not sign my credit rating away that day, young Jedi, but many of my siblings in struggle still haven't recovered because they thought, I can't bear to say it, they thought that a credit card was basically free money. But totally blame them, I cannot. Our financial education system in this country is not great. And money is confusing. In fact, it's not even real. So why isn't a credit card free money? Or for that matter, why can't that free swag count as money too? Much like the Force, money runs through everything we do. And understanding how to harness the power of not only credit cards, but money creation, money supply, the money multiplier, and money in general is really important. Not just in your own life, but in the expansive macroeconomic galaxy as a whole.
Welcome to Dagobah. Matt Sofa I am, and study hall, Macroeconomics, you're watching.
When it comes to buying stuff, you've got a couple of options, which is why the guy at your favorite taqueria and cantina might ask you cash, credit, or debit as he rings up your daily breakfast burrito. But cash, credit, and debit are by far the most boring option to pay for your breakfast, at least historically. Yes, even imperial credits. See, back in the day, there was no such thing as money, at least not in the way we understand it now, which, in a slightly circuitous way, meant that everything could be money. Before we had currency, or money as we understand it now, humans used to barter, or trade one good or service for another. Well, humans still barter, like how in college I'd give my buddies pizza and they'd help me move into a new apartment. But you're not gonna have very good luck trading pizza for a breakfast burrito. Believe me, I've tried. Hence why I'm banned from so many taquerias in the Phoenix metropolitan area. There were also many historical goods that served as money, usually because they were rare or valuable. In North America, many indigenous Americans used things like corn, shells, and beads as money, while colonizers were partial to beaver pelts. Like, you could literally go to the store and buy stuff with beaver pelts. That definitely wouldn't fly at Mos Eisley or with my local cantina guy. When we select a type of good, like beads or beaver pelts to use as money, it's called commodity money. And the best examples were durable, portable, and easily stored for obvious reasons. The transition from bartering and commodity money to what we think of as money today didn't happen all at once. In fact, it took millennia. The first metal coins popped up around the 7th century BCE, first in a Greek city-state called Lydia, and then a little later in China. China also gave us the first example of paper money, which came along somewhere around the 11th century CE. In part because carting around pockets full of coins was heavy, particularly if you were a trader crisscrossing the continents. Paper money is an example of fiat money, or currency that has no inherent value and isn't backed by a physical commodity, like gold. We as a society invented the value of fiat money, and its stability depends on the government and economy that issues it. The US switched from what's known as the gold standard, the backing of printed money, to gold reserves in 1933, though we continued flirting with the idea up until the 70s. Today, pretty much all the money we use worldwide is fiat money. Because money is literally made up, it can be a little hard to define. Like, why do the paper bills printed by the Treasury Department count as money, but when I print my own bills, I get hauled off to the pokey for counterfeiting and forgery? We can define money by its three main functions. Importantly, money is a medium of exchange, meaning it's something pretty widely recognized as having value, allowing you to swap it for goods and services. Back in the day, everyone agreed that beaver pelts were valuable because, well, they were, and they made some really trendy hats. And we all agreed that our dollar is valuable too, which means I can walk into any taqueria in the neighborhood and trade my dollars for a breakfast burrito. Money also has a store of value, meaning its worth doesn't depreciate over time, aside from regular low levels of inflation. Even if we all agree pizza has value, it doesn't keep that value. A loaded pepperoni slice straight out of the box is gonna be a lot more valuable than a slice that's been sitting out on the counter for a week and a half. But $1 that's hanging out in your coat pocket for a year is still gonna be just about as valuable as before. Finally, money is a unit of account, which means prices are reported in units of money, like dollars, yen, or pesos. It also means you can count up your money and compare your total to other people's. How many breakfast burritos can they buy? This property of money means you can easily compare prices to better understand the opportunity cost of making a purchase, like how many breakfast burritos you'll have to give up to take a trip to Hawaii. So money is only money if it serves all three of these functions. Lots of things have a store of value, like stocks, bonds, art, or my Star Wars action figure collection. But to be money, it also has to have a unit of account and be a medium of exchange. And I can't trade my limited edition 1978 Luke Skywalker for a burrito. Once again, I've tried. All of these properties make each of your transactions possible, allow for easy price comparison, and preserve the purchasing power of your money over time. But macroeconomists aren't just interested in how you use your dollars, or how extensive your action figure collection is, or how many breakfast burritos you eat in a week. To really understand the invisible force of money, we have to jump into Millennium Falcon and zoom way out. Economies rely on money to facilitate transactions, but also to power financial growth, which means macroeconomists want to know about the total amount of money floating around the economy, known as the money supply. It includes the cash in people's wallets, the registers at businesses, and deposited in bank accounts. The two most common measures of money supply are called M1 and M2, which are not particularly descriptive or helpful names. You can think about it in terms of how many steps it takes to get your money into your hands, which can also be referred to as its liquidity. M1 is all the currency currently in circulation or in checking or savings accounts. Retrieval only takes one step, like putting a debit card in an ATM or pulling cash out of your wallet. The M2 money supply includes all of M1, plus money that takes more steps to turn into cash in hand. So things like certificates of deposit, where you have to pay a penalty if you take it out before it's time, or any financial account that takes a little negotiation to turn it into cash. This stuff is known as near money because it's pretty close to being money itself. Not included in this awesome M2 club? Stocks, real estate, breakfast burritos, beaver pelts, action figures, yes, even the really rare ones, or anything else that you can't easily turn into ready cash. Debit cards and credit cards also aren't included in the money supply. Debit cards are really just a way to move money from one account to another, so they're not actually money themselves. And people use credit cards to give a borrowed amount from a bank to a store, and to score free swag like Frisbees. So they also aren't technically money.
But while literal money they are not, new money credit cards can create.
By using credit to buy a Princess Leia action figure, to go with Luke, duh, I'm actually taking a small loan from the bank that issued me the card, and possibly a Frisbee. Arthur Curry's Collectibles and Bait Shop then gets to deposit real money from my bank into their account. And once a month, I have to give the bank back that money that I borrowed or risk accruing interest on my unpaid balance. While lending out money and collecting interest is how banks make money, it's also how banks create money. It sounds a little like a magic trick, but just stick with me. Trust me, I made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. Let's say that I deposit $1,000 in my savings account because I'm, once again, saving up to start my own adult-sized ball pit. The bank holds back 10% in its reserves to meet the Federal Reserve requirement, or the percentage of deposits all banks have to keep on hand in the event of an emergency. But it's totally free to lend out the remaining $900. And it just so happens that you decide to buy a $900 phone with your credit card. Gotta get those rewards points, you know. That's really the same as taking out a $900 loan from the bank. So I still have $1,000 in the bank, but now there's another $900 paid out for the phone. And abracadabra and alakazam, $1,000 becomes $1,900. But then the store puts that $900 into their bank, and that bank keeps that 10% or $90 on reserve and lends out the remaining $810. Meanwhile, your friend makes an $810 eBay purchase on his credit card, buying a pair of limited edition John Maynard Keynes Nike Alpha Flies. The dude on eBay deposits that $810 into his bank, where they'll reserve $81 and lend the remaining $729 out to someone who buys a new gaming chair, or a state-of-the-art carpeted cat tree, or a lot of boba tea. Like, a lot. You get the idea. This process is called fractional reserve banking. And like magic, that $1,000 I originally deposited has become a whopping $3,439 in money supply. Of course, this is only possible because of the fact we use fiat money. You can't multiply a beaver pelt no matter how many books on Wicca you and your hipster friends read. The increase in the money supply via fractional reserve banking is known as the money multiplier. It's the reciprocal of the reserve ratio. So if banks are required to hang on to 10% or 1/10, the money multiplier would be 10 to 1, or just 10. If the reserve ratio were 1/8, the money multiplier would be 8. Pretty simple. We can use the money multiplier to help us calculate the money supply as a whole. All you have to do is multiply the money multiplier by the currency in circulation in the bank reserves, known as the monetary base. So you take all of that and multiply it by 10, and you'll know what the money supply is for that country. Knowing the total money supply is important because it allows the Fed to better regulate the economy. If the money supply starts to skyrocket thanks to fractional reserve banking, inflation will start to rise to unhealthy levels, and the Fed will use its tools to reduce the amount in circulation. Meanwhile, if it seems like increasing the money supply will jumpstart a sluggish economy, they'll do the reverse and increase the money supply. We'll get more specific about how exactly they do this in the next episode, but for now, know that the Fed and all of the banks in the US use the force. The money supply to manipulate the health of our national economy. It's important to understand the magic of money, the Federal Reserve banking, and the money multiplier because it gives us insight into the money supply as a whole. Without it, you'd be like a doctor not knowing how much blood a patient has, or a Jedi Master not knowing a Padawan's midichlorian count. You guys do know Star Wars isn't the same thing as Star Trek, right? Of course, all this money magic is only possible because the money we use today is fiat money, not linked to any real inherent value. It means something because we've all collectively decided it does. Like the Force, it's something made up, yet powerful. And it's critically important for not only buying breakfast burritos, but for understanding both our economy and our world as a whole. Is this really how you're paying me for this episode? If you're enjoying this series and are interested in taking the full Study Hall Macroeconomics course and earning college credit from ASU, check out gostudyhall.com or click on the button to learn more. And if you want to help us out, you can like this video, comment if you prefer Star Wars or Star Trek, civilly, and smash that subscribe button. For watching, we thank you. And next time we will see you.